So then you also have Bill W., the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? I think he became interested in LSD research
Mhm.
through connected with Osmond, was it? With I think he had a mystical experience on belladonna and then later on LSD. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Bill W. was the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous in the 1930s. And it's interesting, there are a few different competing stories about this. And so, you know, somewhere in there lies the truth. But he has sort of his own ideas and his own experiences that predate his sort of psychedelic experiences, if you will. And he does correspond with Osmond, sorry. He corresponds with Osmond, and firstly, they're just sort of trying to establish the territory, I guess, for, you know, who's right here. It's sort of interesting because what's happening in Saskatchewan is a little bit off the beaten path, or it's very much off the beaten path, but it's also, you know, a time before the internet and virtual meetings. I mean, it takes longer for information to travel into published documents and get a reaction. So these letters between these men really are kind of before it becomes known. And Bill W. is kind of nervous at first about revealing, like, that he would endorse any other kind of psychoactive substance, because of course abstinence is key in the AA 12-step program. But also he confides or explains to Osmond that one of the hardest steps he felt for, we're mostly talking about men here, for men in the 1950s to join is step number 2, which has gone through a few different iterations, and I won't be able to quote it here, but essentially is to believe in something higher or of a power greater than yourself, you know, and different iterations actually invoke, you know, a kind of God complex. And this is a kind of spiritual step. He said that this is the hardest step to overcome, and it is sort of the biggest barrier to people staying with the program. And this is where Osmond then talks to his colleague Abe Hoffer, and they're like, well, you know, I think this experience that we've been playing around with would help that. And Bill W. comes and takes LSD and agrees that it is similar, but he doesn't want to let people know that at first because it would compromise his integrity as the co-founder of AA. But interestingly, although I've found that in some research units, they're very careful and coy about whether they're coordinating with Alcoholics Anonymous, I did find that newsletters produced by Alcoholics Anonymous and local chapters were actually advertising psychedelics as a way to help get you connected. And so there clearly was some cooperation taking place in certain chapters of the organization, but it's a bit of a fraught history, as there's a real desire to sort of eschew the psychedelic or the psychoactive component that allows addicts to come into this frame. And I want to respect that. I don't want to, I'm not here to sort of overturn a 12-step model, but I do think that historically there's some interesting tension and synergies there that allowed for these two to actually work together cooperatively for a time.